Okay, this is in the interest of Arbor Lynn Lucero. We're here for our initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom.
Anthony Stevens for the mother. We're present and ready.
Bill
Your Honor,
Ham,
I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent Isaiah Leal. We're both present and ready.
Bill Hamker on behalf of the grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Ortega, we're present and ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the child.
Arbor is doing good in her placement. She's 6 months old now. She was diagnosed with hip dysplasia, and so she does have to wear a hip brace for 6 months for 23 hours a day for those 6 months. So that, but she's adjusted well to it. Now it's kind of just part of her. She does continue to meet with her physical and developmental specialist, and they work with the daycare and the placement to help her continue to meet as much milestones as she can. Due to her hip brace, they're not working on sitting up, but they are working on her pushing herself up on her arms. And she's continuing to increase her time. And last time, whenever I met with them, they said she was up to 23 seconds. She hasn't had any more seizures still at this time, so she's doing well with that and her medication for that. She's eating well, drinking well, growing appropriately. The only concerns with her growth is the pediatrician noted that her head circumference was like a little bit smaller in proportion to her body growth. And so they wanted the placement to mention that to the neurologist next time. It's just so that they can make sure that her head is growing appropriately for her brain and her development with that, so that there's no complications with her brain being squished. I think that's mostly it for her. She is doing good given everything. She's continuing to make all of her appointments and things like that. Placement's doing a great job with her. For parents, they are meeting with me and talking with me. For Ashley, she's completed her parenting, her psychosocial, participating in counseling, and WAVE is scheduled to start now, or she's just started it. Her rational behavior therapy is completed. Her anger control training, I was waiting on notes from the therapist to determine if that was being covered in therapy or not. I just received some notes, but I don't have access to them, so I'm still going to be looking over that to determine that. Her drug screens, a UA and a hair follicle on October 31st, and then the UA on November 26th and January 29th were all negative. She's let me come to her house for announced visits. Her house appears to be appropriate, clean. She's showed proof of her reliable transportation and proof of employment. For Isaiah, he has completed his psychosocial. He's scheduled his next counseling session, and he's scheduled to start BIP. There was issues like with the provider with getting BIP and WAVE scheduled for them, so they're kind of delay in starting those services aren't their fault. He has completed his rational behavior. No, he hasn't. Sorry. His drug screens on October 31st was a UA and hair follicle, and then a UA on November 26th, and those were negative as well. His housing, I have not actually been to his house, but he did come to the office to meet with me. And then our schedules were conflicting this past month, so we just met on the phone. And then he does have his transportation and stable employment. With his job, he travels out of town a lot right now. So that's what our schedules conflicting has been. But he has been compliant in talking to me and giving me updates as I ask for them and try to be in communication with him. And he's in communication with me for that. I did talk to the parents about my concerns about like kind of like accountability and the circumstances that led to removal and the incidents that could have happened or did happen. And just knowing how behavior has changed if we can't fully take accountability for the circumstances that led to removal and be in the process of being able to reunify, and how that will continue to be a concern.
then Ms. Stevens, do you have any questions for Ms. Lucero?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lucero, regarding accountability, you told my client that until someone confesses, nobody gets to see the child, correct? Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all said questions for Miss Lucero. That is for me, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, sorry. I just was confused a little bit. That's my fault. So I said that until the medical team determines otherwise or gives approval for otherwise, that
To
visits
everything
can
after, objection to everything after I said that as non-responsive.
Okay, Ms. Brady, let's let her ask her question again and just listen, just answer what she's asking you.
Okay.
Ms. Stevens, go
You
ahead and
told
ask.
my client that until someone confesses, you told my client until someone confesses, she will not get to see the child, correct?
No.
Objection asked and answered.
All right, she's answered it now. So, all right, another question?
Have you contacted the DA's
Ms.
office
Stevens,
to find out the status of the case?
you're
Are you
cutting
there?
out. Ms. Stevens, you're cutting out. If you'll ask your question
All
again.
right. And I'm pulling over now that I have signal. Have you contacted the DA's office to find out the status of the case?
I have.
Okay. And when did you contact them?
I last contacted them. I can't remember the exact date, but it was a couple weeks ago now.
Okay. And did they tell you that they have declined the case as to my client?
Objection, Your
Your
Honor.
Honor, that object, that would be hearsay.
She can answer whether or not that's what they told her, because that's what they told me.
Well, it's
Yeah,
pure
that's a leading question.
It's
Objection
pure.
leading.
All right, hang
I
on,
can-
everybody.
I can lead on cross-examination.
Judge, nobody's even,
It's not late. Hang on. It isn't leading. It's pure hearsay. Okay. So the objection is to hearsay is sustained. All right. Another question?
Is there any other services that my client hasn't started or hasn't worked yet?
The anger control training would be the only thing that I'm waiting for the notes to determine. I believe that she's completed the TPC assessment. I just haven't found the record for it yet, so I was waiting to get that.
Okay, so the anger management, there's no referral for that just yet, correct?
It's part of her family plan. Are you asking like that I've sent?
Yes. She doesn't have a referral to go just yet, right?
I guess not.
Okay. Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Eldridge.
Miss Brady, I only have a couple of questions here. So just to make sure the judge understands, there was a mix up in the communication. Isaiah has been attempting to get his services scheduled, but there was a conflict. It wasn't his fault that he hasn't completed these services. He's been reaching out for weeks and weeks, from what I understand. Is that correct?
As far as for BIP, yes.
Okay. And he's been reaching out for the parenting classes as well, is the way I understand it.
Yes.
He hasn't been getting return calls, or he hasn't been getting anybody to text him back until just yesterday. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
He was,
So it's not his fault.
and I was
Services haven't.
correct. And I was
Go ahead.
receiving text messages from him as well, that he was trying to get in contact with them. And I was following up myself and have an email thread of communication with Family Support Services, trying to get that set up.
Okay. So now we're all back on track and he can get these services scheduled and completed. Is that right?
Yes.
And Isaiah is the non-offending parent in this case. Is that right?
I don't know that non-offending is the right word.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Hamker.
Yes, Miss Brady, I think I just have one question. to your knowledge regarding Arbor Lynn, is the investigation regarding the perpetrator still ongoing?
To my knowledge, yes.
Right. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay. Ms. Powell or Mr. Walker, any questions for your worker, for Ms. Brady?
Not for the worker, Judge.
No, no, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, then does the department have any other witnesses they want to call today?
No.
All right, then, Ms. Stevens. I don't know whether you want to call your client or you got any other witnesses you wish to call today? Okay, you're muted, so if you're talking to us, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm not calling any witnesses. I just have argument to make, so I'll save that till the end.
Okay. Is
Unless you want me
are there
to
any
make argument now.
are there any requests involved in that? Because if so, I'd just soon hear it right now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking for supervised visitation to begin based on the fact that the law states that reunification is always the primary goal. In her report, the caseworker said that she told them they had to take accountability to make reunification possible, but that's not in the law. The fact is, my client has worked every service that she's got a referral for, or at least started every service. She doesn't have a referral for anger management yet because the caseworker's waiting to see if that's covered in counseling or if that needs to be separate, I believe was her testimony. So my client is more than willing to do whatever referrals come next, but she has started every single thing. There's no reason to not start the supervised visits, but without supervised visits, we'll never be able to escalate visits if they go well. We can't work towards reunification. And in that way, without supervised visits, CPS is trying to hamstring the court to make the only option termination. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr.
Your Honor.
Eldridge.
Your Honor, this is
Your
Mr.
Honor, okay.
Okay, hang on. Hold on. All right. Yes, Mr. Hamker.
Yes, Your Honor, with respect to the opportunity to call witnesses, based upon the request of Ms. Stevens, I would like to have the opportunity to call the grandmother, Jerry Lynn Ortega.
All right, when it's your turn, you can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Eldridge?
So, Your Honor, kind of the same. First of all, I want to point out that Mr. Leal has started all the services that he's been able to. He's had trouble with communication with the department, and so he hasn't started and completed some, but he's been compliant. He's the non-offending. We're kind of pushing for the same thing. He's the non-offending parent here. His child is placed 2 hours away with the mother's parents, and so he's had FaceTime visits is all he's getting. We would like the court to consider placement with him as the non-offending parent. And if not, some sort of escalation of visitation so he can see the child more often. He's an electrician. He does travel, does commercial electrical work, but he's made arrangements from this point forward. He's in Virginia right now. He'll be home in about 3 or 4 days. From this point forward, he's going to work only locally. And his employer has freed up his schedule, so he'll be able to care for the child and at least spend more time with the child. And so we would like to escalate visitation as well. Similar to what the mother was asking.
Mr. Eldridge, let me ask you, keep referring to him as non-offending, but he was living in the home at the time of the removal, correct?
Right, but the
Okay.
injuries were caused in the mother's possession.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that anybody knows that 100%. That's the problem. Therein lies the problem in all these kinds of cases.
And these, okay.
So,
And if you have a problem with that, we would just like to escalate the visitation then. I mean, he hasn't been proven guilty of anything, just like the mother. At least supervised visitation would be appropriate, I believe. if you deem necessary or applicable.
So let me just ask Ms. Powell, I mean, have criminal charges been filed against either parent?
No, Judge.
All right, so we don't have a bond problem or bond issues that impede what we do, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, then, okay, Mr. Hamker?
Yes, Your Honor, due to the questions and testimony, the first person I'd call is Mr. Liao.
The father?
Isaiah, yes.
Okay, Mr. Liao, you'll unmute, please. All
Can you
right,
hear me?
sir, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear that you will tell me the truth today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Hamker, be mindful of Fifth Amendment.
Mr. Liao, in the last 5 years, how many criminal charges have you had filed against you?
In the past 5 years, one. It's
Seems like you're having a hard time thinking about that. How many are pending against you currently?
one.
How many have you recently
Well-
disposed of?
They're pending.
That are pending? I guess my question is, you have some anger management problems, don't you?
No, sir.
Objection
No.
leading.
Or has
told
there
him
been
it's a
an
direct
order
examination.
issued to stay away from Miss Lucero?
Hang on a minute, just a minute. I'm going to sustain Mr. Eldridge's objection. Mr. Liao, I'm already really far behind. I'm going to cut to the chase. How many criminal charges have you had in the last 5 years? Whether they're resolved or unresolved, how many times have you been charged in the last 5 years?
Charged, like I guess it's one case, but there's multiple charges with that case. So that's why I said one. But it was like I didn't know how to answer it clearly.
What were you charged with?
It's a domestic violence case with Ashley.
Okay. So domestic violence or assault on a family member?
Assault on a family member, yes, ma'am, and to a pregnant woman.
Okay. What else was in that charge? What else were you charged with at that time?
I believe it's those, and then it's a repeated like offense. So it's like multiple with them.
Okay.
So it's like they repeat pretty much.
Right. So you've had prior assaults against a family member.
I believe what he stated, Your Honor, he was
Yes.
charged. The charges are pending, if I understood correctly. He's not, my understanding, not been convicted. Is that right, Isaiah?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Hamker, does that help?
That answers my question. I just have one other regarding Mr. Liao. Was Ashley Lucero supposed to be living in your home on South Washington on the day the child sustained this injury? Was
Yeah,
there
I'm going to
order in place?
object. I'm going to object, Your Honor. And due to the Fifth Amendment implications of that, I advise my client not to answer.
All right, Mr. Liao, your attorney's admonishing you not to answer the question based on your privilege against self-incrimination. Is it your desire to invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Hamker, any further questions?
No further questions, Your Honor. I would call Jerry Lynn Ortega.
Okay, Ms. Ortega, you'll unmute.
Can you hear
Raise
me?
your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Ortega, You're the grandmother of Arbor Lynn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is your husband seated next to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, uh, are you all able to take care of her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand she's just recently had her second brain surgery. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, on January 22nd.
Okay. How's she doing?
She's doing really well. She's accomplishing all of her milestones and she impresses everybody at every point we go to. They're just amazed at her strength and her drive. She's great.
You've heard your daughter's attorney request for supervised visitation. What type of visitation is your daughter receiving with the child at the current time?
Both parents currently get supervised virtual visitation, supervised by St. Francis.
Do you believe that supervised visitation, a change in the current visitation to supervised visitation would be in the best interest of the child or not?
Your
I do
Honor,
not-
I'm gonna object. I would call for a legal conclusion. That's the court's determination to make, not the grandmother's.
Well, let me change the question, Your Honor.
Are you withdrawing the question?
I'm just changing it, Your Honor.
Well, then I'll
Rewording it.
rule on his objection sustained.
Okay. Do you think it's good for the child to change the visitation structure at the current time?
Objection, Your Honor. That calls for legal conclusion. It's just rewording the same question.
Sustained.
If the visitation is changed, who do you think should supervise it?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll overruled. I'll allow her to answer that. She can have an opinion on that. It's not a expert opinion.
I would like to be able to supervise the visitation if it is changed.
Okay. Do you have any concerns regarding your daughter at the current time?
I have concerns regarding both parents. I think that they both need to focus on completing their counseling and parenting classes, hopefully before any changes are made in visitation.
Okay. Do you believe that this was an accident that happened to this child, that she fell or something like that that caused these
Your
injuries?
Honor,
Objection
Your
calls for
Honor, that's
speculation.
complete. Yes, I have double that
Sustained.
objection.
Sustained.
Okay.
Pure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any further witnesses? Mr. Hamker.
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. Does the department have any questions for this witness?
I do not, Judge.
All right, Ms. Stevens.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Eldridge, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala, any questions?
Ms. Ortega, do you have concerns about in-person visitation?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What are those concerns?
Right now, kind of like when she was injured, Arberlynn's too young to tell anybody what happened to her. And if something were to happen to her, she doesn't have her own voice where she could speak, ask for help, tell somebody something's gone on. She's 6 months old. She's still completely helpless and needs to just be able to trust that everybody's around her is safe. And at this time, we're able to make sure that that's the case.
No further questions.
I have one question now, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Ma'am, based on the testimony you just gave, does that mean that you are worried that you cannot supervise adequately if there is supervised visitation?
I think objection, Your Honor, mischaracterization of the answer previously given.
She said she's worried the child wouldn't be safe during
Oh.
supervised visits.
Oh, overruled. I'm going to allow her to answer it.
Please
Ma'am.
ask. I'm sorry.
No problem. Ma'am, I don't think you meant to imply this, but I'm just trying to be clear. do you believe, based on the testimony you just gave, that you cannot supervise properly if there's supervised visitation? Meaning, can you not keep the child safe if you're the supervisor for visitation?
I would absolutely do my best to keep her safe. It's hard to watch everybody's hands at all times, and there's no question that she was hurt very badly.
Objection
And
not responsive after I can't watch everybody's hands at all times.
Sustain.
No more questions, Your Honor.
sorry.
All right, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Ortega?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Ms. Ortega, a big thank you from the court for taking good care of the child and seeing her through this medical journey. And
Yes.
I greatly appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely, we love her.
All right, then, Ms. Zavala, any witnesses to call today?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, do you have a recommendation to make today?
Your Honor, I'm extremely grateful to the Ortegas for placement. She has been doing incredibly well there. And I do recommend that placement should absolutely continue. This is a scary case when we have such severe injuries for a child so young. I would recommend, although Ms. Ortega has offered to supervise, I would recommend that if in-person visitation is started, that Ms. Ortega be allowed to be present, but there also be someone from St. Francis there to supervise. I think that helps with documentation in terms of how those kinds of visits go. And I think it's important. But I do think for Arbor Lynn's continued well-being in terms of her feeling of security, that Ms. Ortega being present would be very important if those visits are started. I have concerns. I understand that some of those services may not have been started, not to the fault of the parents, but the whole issue here appears to be violence. And at this point, none of the service, although lots of services have been started, the services regarding the actual violence and anger have not been addressed at this time.
Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation whether or not to start in-person visits or whether to leave them virtual?
You know, this is incredibly difficult. And I do believe that the law requires that at some point visitation be started. And I honestly do not know when the appropriate time to start that is. I'm really struggling with that decision. I do feel that Arbor Lynn could be kept safe as long as that remains supervised. And at some point, it is going to be time to start that. I just, without any kind of training for the parents on the underlying issues of anger and violence, I'm very hesitant to make that recommendation at this time.
Understand. All right, then today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue the child's current placement. I do find a continuing danger to return the child home at this time to either parent. I do find parents are in compliance with their family plans of service at this time. I'm going to go ahead and allow them to have in-person supervised visits with the child. St. Francis and placement will be present during those visits. But that being said, I will just tell the parents, I fully expect you all to complete your services and with a great concentration on parenting of a child this age and, you know, in all required services that touch upon anger issues, violence, and all those things. So I'm not saying it's your fault that some of that's been a slow start, because you guys aren't the only ones that we have that problem with. So, but But the minute you can get started on those, I do expect you to do it, and I expect you to make those appointments. I don't want to hear down at the next hearing, I don't want to hear that, oh, well, you started those and then you missed 5 in a row, okay? These people will discharge you from those programs if you miss. And so you will really, really be behind if that happens. So just word to the wise, those appointments are gonna be your top priority. All right,
Your Honor,
yes.
Your Honor, may I make one request about those supervised visits? Can
What's
they
that?
be separate for each parent? My client does not want to be around her former abuser.
Yeah, I mean, they're not supposed to have any
You know,
contact with
objection,
each other.
argumentative, I object to the sidebar comments, Your Honor.
I'll sustain as to that. The bottom line is that at the time of this removal, and as far as I know, sitting here today, they're not supposed to have any contact. So obviously those visits need to be separated. If the no contact order isn't out there or has been lifted, they still need separate visits.
And I believe that there's a bond condition with the pending criminal cases anyway, so there shouldn't be that contact. I think there's that prohibits the visitation being together.
Okay. All right, then, I'll see everybody back for our next review hearing, July 28th of 2026. That's a 9 o'clock docket. The final in this case is scheduled for September 29th, 2026. That's also on a 9 o'clock docket, just so everybody knows. Dismissal date, October 5th of 2026.
Your Honor, could I ask that those visits that are going to be taking place, that the child not have to be stressed by being hauled all the way down to Amarillo, that at least maybe the other people make the effort to maybe go to Canadian so those visits can be taking place?
I'm going to allow St. Francis to work out the logistics of that, Mr. Hamker. And it
Okay.
may be that everybody, they may have to go there. Maybe there's a meeting point. Maybe sometimes they go there and sometimes placement comes here, but I'm going to allow St. Francis. They know these people's schedule. I don't know their schedules. I just can't make a ruling on that in a vacuum. So I'm going to kick that can to them to try to figure out the best way to schedule it.
Okay.
Obviously, taking into account the child's medical needs and health and everything. Okay, I'll see y'all back in July.
Your Honor, can I ask one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I had filed a motion, and I know there's not time for a hearing on it, but my clients are going to hire an expert and do a forensics assessment in this case. I know does not have to be a court order to do that, but we would ask the court to at least, we'd like you to know that, and we would like to have at least the cooperation of the other parties in this case who have documents that the expert that's going to be needed on this case, so that specialist can make that assessment, which is going to be provided to the court.
Okay. I always love it when attorneys will cooperate with one another, but in absent of that, there's this thing called discovery. So, I don't know that I can order anybody, Mr. Hamker, to, be cooperative with you or to turn things over outside of formal discovery. So, hopefully everybody will play nice and do it, or they can go the hard route and do formal discovery.
And Judge, this was just filed yesterday, so St. Francis, the department, we had no idea anything was being requested. And so, I mean, we
I'm not
didn't
making
have the
any-
opportunity to respond at all.
Yeah, and I'm not making any ruling on it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but it seems to me that the answer is right there in the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, thank y'all.
Good morning. Good morning, Council. Gene Graff, Angela Tidwell on behalf of St. Francis Ministry is present and ready to proceed.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Miss Matthews. We're present and ready.
T.D. Hammonds for Tyler Baggett, ready to proceed, Judge.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child.
Okay. I'm taking one more quick scan of the waiting room. I don't have Mr. Baggett unless he's there with Ms. Matthews. Okay, he is.
Your Honor, I believe he's there.
All right,
Yeah.
just wanted to be sure that was him. So, okay, very good. All right, then, Ms. Tidwell, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear you'll tell us the truth this morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. I'll let you give us the update and then we'll see who's got questions.
Yes, ma'am. So Blakely is doing well in her current placement. She's currently placed in a foster home with Abigail and Trey. She's current on all of her medical. She's healthy. She's thriving in their care. She continues with her ECI services, which is helping her meet all of her developmental milestones. She's doing really well. Mom and dad, Tyler and Taylor, they are doing really well as well, Your Honor. They have just about completed all of their services on their family plan of service. They continue to engage in all of the supervised visits with Blakely. We have increased those visits to 4 hours a week. And also placement takes Blakely to meet Tyler and Taylor. They'll go eat ice cream, go out to dinner. So they formed a bond with Blakely's placement. And they've mentioned that in the event that there's a reunification, they would like to act as backup caregivers and stay in contact with Tyler and Taylor. So that's really kind of them. They've been a really huge support system also in this case. There was an issue with Tyler starting BIP classes with our service authorizations getting sent over. Once we were able to send those authorizations over, Tyler did attend his assessment, which he did not qualify for BIP. I was not the original worker that did the family plans. To my knowledge, there was no domestic violence in this case, so I'm not exactly sure why he was required to attend BIP, but he did attend, and I'm waiting for that letter stating that he does not qualify for BIP. And that was the last service that Tyler had on his family plan to complete. Outside of that, both parents are working. They both work at Walmart. They're doing well. They have their own apartment, which they have provided me a lease that has both their names on the apartment. They have a vehicle. Tyler has a valid driver's license, insurance, and Taylor, she doesn't drive, but Tyler transports her to all of her appointments and to work and things like that. So overall, this family is really doing good. I'm really proud of them. They have come a long way.
Okay. Doesn't get any better than that. So, very pleased to hear that you've formed a relationship with placement and that they're willing to maybe moving forward kind of be respite care for you all. Always great to have an extra babysitter, you know, but it's just great that's just that's just more support for you guys moving forward, which is really important. So I have a quick question, Ms. and then I'll let your attorneys talk, but Ms. Matthews, is there is there any medical reason why you don't have a driver's license, or is it just something you've never done?
I've had my permit before, and I was in driver's ed, but my mother, she quit teaching me how to drive, so I just never got the opportunity to continue that driver's ed due to I do have a physical disability.
Okay.
But I can't use my legs and my arms. Like it was
Okay.
just those actions were never completed.
Is that something you'd like to have just as kind of a backup where you could drive if you needed to?
If I could have it as an option, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that anything we can try to give them some help with? I mean, she's over 18, so it's a question of just driving and taking the test and doing all that.
Angela, any reason why we can't, or that you're aware of?
I could check in to see what kind of resources we have or to see what I can do on my end to try to help them accomplish that. I have no problem doing that.
Thank you.
Okay. I just think it's, with kids, it's just great if you both could transport and, it'd be, I think, good for both of you and for the child. So, if we could help by kind of steering her in the right direction to get the materials for the written exam. And then, Mr. Matthews, you're probably going to be the one that's going to do the behind the wheel, training and driving.
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the time I would say that's not a good activity for husbands and wives. Wouldn't be in my household.
My grandfather my grandfather got tired of teaching my grandmother, was the story I had growing up, and she never learned to drive as a result.
But I will say if she needs to get somewhere, or if I need to get somewhere, we do have a very good support system as far as making sure she gets to where she needs to go.
Okay. I just thought it might be a backup plan, and if there's
Yes,
something
ma'am.
we can do to assist, I'd like to do that. You guys are doing great, and I'm so proud of you. I cannot tell you. I'm so pleased.
Appreciate
So, all right, Ms. Kincaid, any questions?
Just briefly, right now, what is kind of our plan for, are we looking at a reunification schedule, or some kind of monitored return? What's our plan?
So we had just staffed this case with my director, Stacy Brown, and at the time there was the BIP that was pending. So I need to restaff with my supervisor, Peyton, and our director. And we've already kind of talked about a slow step up reunification, starting out off with unsupervised visits first, and then moving into, a slower, the slower process. And then also I haven't discussed it with Stacy Zavala yet either, so.
Okay, whenever you guys make a decision on that, can you please keep me in the loop on that? I'd appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have today, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Hammonds?
I'm happy, Judge. I have no questions.
Okay. You know what they say, if TD's happy, everybody's happy.
Exactly.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I'm very impressed with the parents, and it sounds like we need to have some meetings, come up with some sort of plan, start ramping up some visitation, and figure out exactly what the plan and schedule is going to look like. I would love to be involved in that, but I think we need to look at expanding access for them.
Okay, so
Hopefully, maybe return the kids by Mother's Day.
that'd be awesome. So we're going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue placement. I'm going to order St. Francis to go ahead and initiate and work a reunification plan with parents. I think we're there, parents are in compliance with their family plans of service. I'm not going to find a continuing danger at this time. We just need to move into the reunification. So I'm not finding that there's an ongoing or continuing danger, but we're not ready to place yet just because we need to work out the reunification plan. Does that make sense? Does that make it harder for you all, Mr. Graff, to draft that order?
No, I don't think so, Judge. I just have a question. I see that we have a bench trial listed final for June 9th, and I'm assuming we don't need to mediate. It sounds like everybody's on the same page. We're just trying to figure out, an easy glide path to return home at this point.
Yeah, because, it'd be great if we could do that, in the next 30 days or so. And then we've got a fair amount of time to monitor before the actual dismissal date. Maybe we don't have to extend, maybe,
Yeah.
So,
Angela, can you staff that and get something distributed to the parties in the next couple of days?
Yes, sir.
So that way, if anybody has any questions or issues, we can even set an FTM if we need to or something like that. But I think we'll probably be able to work it out without that.
I'll make sure to get that done and then sent to all the parties.
Thank you.
I would like to be involved in that that discussion in the planning.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, anybody have anything else?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
All right, sounds great. Okay, again, Mr. and Ms. Matthews, Mr. Baggett, Ms. Matthews and Mr. Baggett, I am so pleased. One other issue I did want to take up today. Mr. Baggett, you are an alleged father, I think. Mr. Hammonds, have you all talked about that? I mean, he's working at services. I mean, I'm getting all impressions that you believe you're the father of this child.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any doubt about that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Hammonds, are we okay to go ahead and adjudicate him right now?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so Mr. Baggett, just so you understand, because you all were not married at the time the child was born, you're under the law, you're called an alleged father. But you're not disputing paternity. You're not asking me to do paternity testing. You're telling me you are the father. So I'm going to make that official today. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I will adjudicate Tyler Baggett as the father of Blakely Nicole Baggett and establish the parent-child relationship between them.
He
So
cannot deny her.
as we say, Mr. Baggett, congratulations. It's a
Thank you,
girl.
Judge.
Okay. All right, that'll be one less thing we need to deal with. We can dismiss the unknown father from the case then. And it just kind of simplifies things. So I appreciate you letting me handle that today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then I'll see y'all back June 9th, 2026 on a 9 o'clock docket for the final. We can certainly all communicate in advance of that, so everybody kind of knows what we're doing. You know, if we're not going to start calling witnesses that day, if we need some extension or a monitor return or what we're going to do, y'all just keep Miss Katie in the loop, and if we have any question about any of that, we can deal with it before that day.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank you all so much, and y'all have a good rest of your day.
You too, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
Your
you.
Honor, this is all I have, but I am going to pop back in the afternoon on that Alonia matter. In the event there's a wrapper, I'm just going to be a fly on the wall. Just let you know for that.
All right, sir. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm not back till 11:45. Is it okay if I log out and then log back in?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
All right, thanks a lot, Judge. I'll see you here in a little bit.
All right, Mr. Hammond, thank you. All right, then I will call cause number 100764E. This is the department versus Marquita Watson. This is a request for a court-ordered service case, or as we refer to, in order to participate. We are conducting this hearing through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Boyd is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Jared Miller, along with Melissa Ponce, on behalf of the department.
Judge Jeff Hill on behalf of Marquita Watson. I hate to slow proceedings down this morning, but could I have maybe 2 minutes to visit with my client in a breakout room?
Sure.
My apologies.
It's not your fault we're running behind, so. Okay. All right, Mr. Hill, let me get you, and then let me get your client in there. Ms. Watson, you're going to get a prompt to go to room 1. You can say join.
Hey, Rachel, are you there?
I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. Who are you asking for?
Well, I was going to ask Rachel, but I could ask you too, Judge. Is the
She
plan
stays-
still the same on how we're going to go forward today as far as if things are not agreed?
Yeah, it is, because we've got so much going. Yes.
I figured. I looked at your dockets for a few days. You have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, spring break always throws kinks in things.
I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always makes it hard. So yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of is, but hopefully we can get some, resolved.
Mm-hmm.
in defense of spring break, I sure love that I get to visit with kids during the day instead of evenings and nights. So I love spring break.
I'm sure.
Judge, we're back whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And Judge Ms. Watson has agreed to work services.
Okay, terrific. Then let me go ahead and call this and we'll just get that on the record. All right, then, cause number 10. Well, I think I did call it, didn't I, Ms. Boyd?
You
Yes,
did.
ma'am.
Did, that's right. Okay. All right, then, Mr. Miller or Mr. Hill?
Yeah, Judge, Ms. Watson has decided that she would be willing to work services. She believes that there's some family help that needs to be had.
Okay. All right, Ms. Watson, I congratulate you on making that decision. You know, I mean, these folks are really here trying to help you. They don't, you know, so we get over this stuff back in this situation again. So, I'm grateful that you have agreed to participate in these things. And, I will sign the order to participate. Mr. Hill, she understands sort of what they're asking for her to do. Is that correct?
Well, I haven't seen a service plan, but I explained to
Yeah.
her based on what I've read that there's going to be a lot of counseling and probably some parenting classes, things like that. But, you know, other than that, I don't know what they'll be requesting, but those are the standard things.
Right. Okay. Yeah, obviously, I think in this case, we want to, you know, really concentrate hard on individual and then family counseling. And so, and some parenting, obviously, I think would be good. And, so, you know, I'm assuming that's what we're going to be doing. There could be some random drug testing or alcohol screening, Ms. Watson. That's, you know, always a possibility. And Mr. Miller, anything else really major that you're looking at?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
That's correct, Melissa, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So yeah, just real concentrated on counseling and family therapy and, you know, trying to figure out how we can better work through problems when they arise. So, all right, then I will find that is in the best interest of Azariah and that the family would benefit from those services. That hopefully this will mitigate any ongoing concern about possible neglect or abuse in the home and so I'll see you all back for a compliance hearing on June 23rd. So Ms. Watson, that's just, we'll get together by Zoom again, informal deal, just checking in. How are things going? What do you have left to do? Is there something we need to tweak? That kind of thing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right then. So I'll sign the order and I'll see y'all back June 23rd.
All right. Thank you.
That'll be on a
Ma'am.
9 o'clock docket.
Okay.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
In the interest of Kalian Ybarra, Ava Mohammed, Trevin Carter, and Jaden Ibarra. We're here today scheduled for an adversary hearing in this matter. We are conducting this through Zoom. Council, because we have such an enormous docket, we had a lot of new cases come in the last several weeks. So I think everybody's aware we're trying to see if we have any agreements today. If not, we're probably going to have to reset. So I don't know, Ms. Grant, what about you and your client?
Oh, my apologies. Judge, my client is willing to make an agreement.
All right, and Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, my client is also willing for the department to have an agreement, the department to be named temporary managing conservator. He'll work services, but he just wanted to make sure the court and the department was aware of where he's asking for his 2 children to be placed.
Okay, we'll get into that here in just a second. Mr. Hammonds, what about you?
Mr. Carter is in agreement with the children, being placed where the department feels it's best. I mean, he did indicate, if there is a family member, grandma or somebody like that, that they could consider. Certainly, he would like that to happen. And he understands the department's going to seek to keep all the children together if possible, and he's fine with that.
Okay, so let me just jump to Ms. Lucero. What individuals is he wanting us to take a look at? But these people are only interested in 2 of the children?
No, he knew that he really didn't have a right to talk about the other, make recommendations for the other kids. He understands that the 3 older kids are together. It's our understanding at High Plains, and then they found a placement here in the area for the youngest, which is his child, Cayenne. But I believe he's already given the department names. And I'm sorry, all I did was catch first names, but there was a Christina and a Kendra. Christina watches Ava, and so she's very familiar with her. And then he had mentioned Kendra for Cayenne. So I don't know if the department's looking into those folks. He said he provided that information to them.
Your Honor, the mother is asking for a home study on Kendra Castillo first, so I think we may have an agreed name by both parents.
Okay, do we know whether she's has expressed a willingness for all of the children?
It's my understanding she has, Judge, but let me have Miss Ibarra confirm that, as she's the one that spoke with her regarding placement.
Ms. Ibarra, is she interested in having all of the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Have you all given her name or contact information to anybody at the department?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Okay. So they
And
already
she'll be a kinship placement, Your Honor, as Miss Lucero indicated. There's no relation, but she does have an ongoing relationship with the children.
Okay.
And Your Honor, would it be possible to do also a backup home study on Christina? Reason being, just in case there's not enough room for all 4 children in Kendra's home. So.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, because I don't know whether she's got children of her own. I mean, obviously I don't know anything about any of these folks. So we can certainly say that Kendra would maybe be the first place we're going to look at. If she can take all the kids, that's great, and it gets approved. If there's not enough room for all of the kids, then we would certainly want to start taking a look at Christina. Sounds to me like. So who's going to be our caseworker on this? Do we have anybody present?
Yes, Your Honor, I will. And I
Okay.
have already submitted home studies for both Christina and Kendra.
Thank you.
Okay, super.
And Judge, if I could, if you just want to make a note in your system regarding Elijah, Jeff Hill represented him just a couple weeks ago in Randall County, domestic violence charge, evading with a vehicle. He pled to 3 years TDC. He's got about 4 months credit as of today. So I've explained to him, there's a good likelihood he'll do about 2.5 years of that. He'll do a serval. He won't get out on parole. And so I explained to him, in all likelihood, this will all be resolved before he's released from prison. And he was fine with that. You know, he's hopeful that Selena will certainly cooperate, get all the kids back, and, you know, he'll deal with it when he gets out. But I can tell you right now, I don't anticipate him joining us for the rest of the situations, so.
Well, he would obviously be limited in what he could do, but he is cooperating.
Correct, and the only time I could imagine it becoming an issue is if the department sought to terminate him or to terminate Selena, so.
Okay, well, we're a long way away from that, so
Yes,
we won't even
yes.
cross that bridge even part way at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so sounds like we've got some home studies underway. That's great. So let me skip Ms. Zavala. You good with all this?
I am. I'm very much in favor of the home studies, and I knew that those were in progress. I got to see the 3 older ones all together at High Plains. I actually got to see them 2 different times. I'm really glad that the youngest is now in region. The older 3 were concerned and really want to see him. Hopefully there's visits being set up so that they can see with their own eyes that he's good.
Okay, can we get that set up pretty quickly, Ms. Torres?
Yes, ma'am. We have already set and scheduled those. Mom will have her visits every Monday, from 4 to 5. And Mr. Muhammad will have his visit with his 2 little ones every Wednesday from 4 to 5.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then, I appreciate everybody's cooperation. I'm gonna find the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator of all of the children, and I will continue their current placements. We're gonna move forward with these home studies as those have been submitted. I would find there's a continuing danger to return the children home to any of the parents at this time. Parents obviously will be working some services for us. I do find the department used reasonable efforts to avoid the removal of the children. And I will see everybody back for the status hearing May 5th of 2026. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. So for Mom and for Mr. Muhammad, who are present today, between now and then, St. Francis will sit down with you all. They're going to go over what services they want you to work, talk to you about what you're going to need to do. You can get started on those things right away. But we will talk more about that at our next hearing. But you don't have to wait till that hearing to get started. So, better to get going on it, before then. All right then. I appreciate you all again. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm so sorry our docket's this far behind. We had some real problems at the beginning of our docket today, technology issues and some other things. So anyway, I really appreciate your patience, but you are free to go at this time.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah.
In the interest of Dean Juvenile, we are here for our status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Boyd is making our record for us today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Walker with the Department of Family and Protective Services. The permanency specialist is Andrea Alaniz. Present, ready to proceed.
Stacy Brown on behalf of Samantha Hall, my client's present. We're ready to proceed.
Bailey Sapien, guardian ad litem to respondent mother. I'm ready.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child.
Thank you. Okay. All right, and we're trying to find out if Mr. Morales is going to join us. So Mr. Juvenile, they had a huge docket down in Randall County this morning that he very likely is involved in. So, and because we're running behind, he may not get logged in with us, but we'll watch for him. Okay.
And I haven't received a response, Judge. If I get one, I'll send a chat.
Okay. All right then. Ms. Alaniz, I think you're gonna testify if you'll unmute for me. All right, raise your right hand, please. You promise to tell us the truth this morning.
Yes.
All right, I'll let you give us an update and then we will see who's got questions.
So Dean is doing good. Samantha and Chase are doing good. They have received numbers from their family plan to go ahead and start calling to schedule services. They have also signed their family plan. Samantha will be doing a drug screen, monthly parenting, mental health, the domestic violence, and individual therapy, and rational behavior therapy. And Chase will be doing a drug screen monthly. He will be doing BIT classes, parenting, individual therapy, and rational behavior therapy as well.
Okay. Otherwise, parents are cooperating and staying in contact?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Okay, any issues at all at this point in time?
No, ma'am.
Great. Okay, Ms. Grant, any questions?
No, Your Honor, I would agree that the case is where it needs to be right now, and we're just moving along and making sure that services are properly tailored and done in an order that makes sense for Ms. Hall.
Okay, very good. Ms. Sapien, anything?
I don't have anything, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Juvenile, since I don't have Mr. Morales, you got any questions or concerns to talk about today? And you'll have to unmute. I'm going to send you a prompt.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right. Then, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, Dean is placed with family with an aunt and is doing very, very well. I've got no concerns about that placement, and I do recommend that that continue.
Okay, sounds great. Then we're off to a good start. So, Ms. Hall and Mr. Juvenile, that's great. And y'all just get started on your services and stay in touch with your lawyers, okay? All right, then. Today I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue the child's placement with his aunt. I would find a continuing danger to return the child home at this time. Parents are just going to get started on services. So we hope that will go well, but I am going to order those service plans as an order of the court today. So I do expect them to work them. Okay, we will get back together for our next review hearing, and that will be on July 28th of 2026, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Just so everybody has these dates, the next review hearing will be November 17th of 2026 on a 9 o'clock docket. And the final hearing will be scheduled for January 26th of 2027 on a 9 o'clock docket. All right, so for the parents' benefit, I know that sounds like a very, very, very long, far away time in the future, but we try to schedule these hearings out way in advance. So number one, we have statutory guidelines we have to comply with, and that way everybody knows when they're coming up and can schedule for it. Okay. Okay. I will see you back then July 28th. Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a good rest of your day.